Hello, Culture Matters podcast. I got the chills right now. I'm sitting here looking at the man, the myth, the founder's founder, the legend, the one and only advisor's advisor. Before I introduce you to them, my co-hosts to the biggest day of the year for Culture Matters, the New Year's Eve, Lollapalooza. Here's a quote. It's really a theme just for this year, just for this show. I'm actually looking at it. It's across from me in the house. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. Soren Kierkegaard is the theme for me today. Our quote opening up the opening of Lollapalooza. I'm joined by the one and only Mike Drop Calhoun, founder, creator of Board of Advisors. Mike, thank you for coming.
Jay,
Thank you for joining me today.
Jay,
God,
I
it's
feel like
so
we
early in the
we
morning.
just did this. We just did this a year ago.
We just did this a year ago,
We just did this a
15
year
shows.
ago, and I thought, oh my God, what did we do? We did 15 or 16 in one day.
We did 14 in one day back to back with
Oh,
no.
14, yeah. Standing. I don't think I sat. Now, my wife did bring me some food. It was like, it was instead of laying in bed, it was like standing and podcasting all day. I got the IV, right? But it was our first time. The Lollapalooza. I wasn't sure what to expect, but it was probably the most rewarding. It was a day I didn't even need, like the coffee or the caffeine, because I think the conversations, the caffeine was in the conversations. It was really, really good. Probably met some of the most valuable human beings that day that I'd met in a long time as well. And it was just a lot of them back to back. So coming full circle and being here for round two, the second year in a row, 5 o'clock in the morning, I got the door open. It's nice and crisp too, man. It feels great. I'm really, really excited for today. So I love being here with you, and I think we're gonna have a record-setting session today. What do we have? 16 or 18 on the schedule?
I had to take some pictures for us today. I'm so excited. What we have is it's 5 a.m. And change at 6 a.m. and every 45 minutes, I believe we have 19. This is 19, so 18 other than outside of this, because I'm thinking a wrap up, it could be between 18 and 19, depending on how, because we didn't do, yeah. So,
Well,
yes, there's
there's a very
18.
specific qualifier though. They have to have been on the show before, so we
Oh, I'm
it's
sorry. Let me clarify my answer because it was a poor one in my estimation. 18 time blocks, over 60 of the closest people in my life, many of them now, were, a big, we have 17 people coming back from last year. Of the
mhm.
21 that joined us last year, we have 17 coming back to see us today. And in total, it's somewhere between 64 and 69. And the reason that's loose is because I'm still, people are saying, hey, I'm texting you back. Like, let's try to figure this out. Or, who has the flu that's going to try to come in anyway. And it's like, yeah, why not? Right. So, but as far as sessions, we're going all the way to New Year's Day, baby.
Well, so there's 17 that were on last year.
Yeah. So last year we had 21 people other than you and me and our egos. So that would have been 25. So minus the two egos is 23, minus you and me is 21 people that were not you and me that were sharing their word from the previous year and then their word for the year to come. Your year was recalibrate, if I understand correctly, at, of for
Was it
25.
recalibrate?
You also said Jubilee, and I was like, I know I'm digressing, but we should tell the audience it's about the
Well,
words
I think I
too.
was defining a little bit of what the Jubilee, you know, concept was, because you're asking for a word that encapsulates the year. So you've got to pick a rich word, right? So I think Jubilee is a time of reset. It's a time of celebration. It's a time of forgiveness. It's a time of recalibrating, reflecting, and then resetting and moving forward. And I think for
Mm,
a lot of people, that's, that is this time of year, or it should be. Um, but a jubilee is what transpires after 49 years, and it's usually seven sevens in the Jewish cycle. Like even the agricultural cycle is seven sevens. Then you hit 49 and there's an entire year of jubilee from 49 to 50 that is the year of reflection, reset. All the property goes back to the original family and owners. It's a really rich cultural preservation.
wow.
And I think that last year was definitely something that it just felt like that's where I was at. I had done quite a bit, uh, just from a standpoint of growing and failing and striving and pushing, and from the marriage to the business to personal to just really everything. So I felt like it was probably one of my toughest years, but also a year to celebrate the growth, because you don't you don't grow by things being easy, right? Um, so yeah, I think recalibrating, I was just probably trying to define it.
Do you, when you look back at that word, is there is it do you- was it was there accomplishment around that? Like, okay, that was the word, and here I am today, and I'm looking back and thinking, because the theme last year was life can only be understood backwards, but must be lived forwards. So we have 17 people coming back. Well, so 19, you and me. So we're back, and
Well,
then
think about it. It's not
others.
it's not really any different. So what is okay? So let me ask you this. So if you can understand yesterday and tomorrow, you're probably going to be doing the same thing with the same people in the same environment that you're doing today. Why is it so different? It's really another shot to do it better. Yeah, you can understand the past, but you're saying you have to live going forward. I think the past allows you to understand living going forward.
Mm. When I think of the word recalibration, it seems like a practical ownership. Like this individual is taking ownership to move forward, to like responsibility. Like I don't know the etymology of recalibrate. I can share that my word was intensity. My word was intensity going into 2025.
I remember that.
I even
I
did a
thought that was a good word for
podcast
you because,
about it,
but you were in
675.
a time of somebody like you were transitioning. There was a new aspect of Jay that was developing. That I think there was a spark that had just started with you that lit a fire of connecting value between your relationships where you had not done that before. And it was an exciting sensation for you that was, from an observer, very intense, because it's a rewarding thing to be able to do. So, I mean, you were experiencing an intensity due to, I think, the value, an intense sensation due to the value you were bringing some of your closest relationships, because you were just starting to connect them and introduce them for the first
Yes,
time.
yes,
And realistically, just bringing
yes.
me on the actual show was a
It's a
huge step
huge.
of creating connection, with a lot of your most valuable relationships.
There was a season of my life, about 2 years, 3 years, and we'll give a shout out to one of our mutual friends who will join us tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, where the real Bradley Mitchell Lee said, "When are you going to stop bathing?" I was taking a lot of
Bathing?
I was
Well,
taking a lot of baths, reading books multiple times a day. When are you going to stop bathing and get out there in the world? And so, the literal meaning of intensity is to stretch yourself towards something with force and focus, and I had to leave the bathtub to connect the meaningful relationships that I've invested in over my life, so that they right because right as we said in episode 15 together, when I got to interview Mike Drop Calhoun, when you were just the guy that founded Board of Advisors with, this booming voice,
what
the
episode was
enigma,
that?
episode 15, season two. And we opened up the show with this quote: the meeting of two personalities is like the
15.
contact. Yeah, it's like the contact of two chemical substances. If there's any reaction, both are transformed. So I I I had to stretch, I had to strain, I had to move towards the light. I had to burn in my own ashes, in my own flame, and become ashes. And is that is why that word was chosen. I had to
Time
focus.
there's anytime there's transformation, there's intensity.
And something I've learned working with you, having the opportunity to actually serve you and your cultures, is being up close to the closer you are to an energy source, the closer you are to a star. You all the metal of the spaceship starts to burn off, and all of a sudden, all you have is light, and it's like, whoa, okay, here we go. I see what's possible for me. So I'm acknowledging some of the strength, the intensity of your light that emanates so bright that dozens and dozens and dozens of successful people of all walks of life will actually leave their homes and physically go to wherever you ask them or invite them, enroll them, inspire them, uh, to go physically, to meet, to gather around an idea, to share intellectual property and energy and attention and intention, which is Board of Advisors, boardofadvisors.com. Like, that's you, right? So I got to that I would acknowledge that. It's like, whoa, being close, the closer you are to a power source, a real, like a real it's not it's an ember, it's a star. It's not like dead wood where it once was. It's a brand that once was something. No, Mike Calhoun is light. He's on fire. He's intense. He's a power source for these people. You closer you get to that lights a spark. So I acknowledge your while you're recalibrating,
Well,
I'm
you're just basically you're
moving
defining
into
why people come across the country to be in person with other people that do they create that same exact effect for each other. I mean, you're literally saying what you're speaking the evidence of what we do.
it's a profound, meaningful, and so much of it happens without our permission. Meaning just being in the room, working, observing, paying attention. Things are happening,
You know
whether
what
we
actually blows
realize
me
it or
away?
not.
What actually
Yeah, I want
blows
to
me
know that.
away is it's that 80/20 rule where just by getting the right souls in proximity, you have that chemical reaction. But there is the stubborn mindset that transpires on an occasion where even though they're in proximity, even though the chemical reaction is sitting right there under their nose, and even though maybe even I myself am fostering and trying to manufacture that chemical reaction because their mind isn't right, it doesn't happen, it doesn't work. Every once in a while, I get one of those. I call it a dud. It's like a dud. It's like a firework. You light it and it doesn't go off. It's it's amazing. It is more impressive to me that it has all the right ingredients in the environment and it doesn't go off than the ones that actually really go off and win big. It's like
Hmm.
I, because it's impressive when somebody comes into a community and they strike relationships and maybe they raise capital or they create a merger or they start doing, hundreds of acquisitions and they go through a big exit. Like that's an amazing accomplishment. But the fact that they can come in and everybody lean into their world and they're so hell bent on why things aren't working for them and it just it doesn't happen. It just doesn't. The firecracker doesn't go off. I think that's almost even more impressive that they somehow have this blocker in their mind that they stop the forces of nature and reality from working.
Wow.
Like that blows me away.
How can our listeners uh, catch that, work, not fall into that? And then my follow up to that is, how can we moving in today? We're going to meet, five, 6 dozen people, recalibrate them, show up to them so that they are, don't become duds. Don't end up
I'm
as
just
duds, but get lit on fire, right? So my
well, I
question
mean,
is the audience. How does the audience avoid that? Get the most out of today as they follow along, they listen back to these episodes are going to go out every day for the next 3 weeks, like starting on the first day of January, right? Because we're recording this on New Year's Eve from
yeah.
5 a.m. until 11 p.m. back to back to back. They're going to go out every day for weeks. So the listeners, how can they get the most so they don't become duds in their lives? They light on fire. And then my follow up is like, how do we today, you know, like to activate people?
So have you ever seen the movie Crocodile Dundee?
No, no, no. Vaguely remember as a very small child. So yes, but I feel like I don't. It's good. It's a good answer for what we're talking about. Like I've experienced it. It's probably influenced me, but I can't remember what it was. Right. So yes, I have seen it.
So there, yeah, and everybody should probably just. There's a famous scene in Crocodile Dundee where you've got this character that lived in the outback in Australia and was super accustomed and acclimated to all the freaky animals and alligators and kangaroos and snakes and just nothing phased him. It was his habitat. It was his home. I mean, that's where he felt most comfortable in the wild. Sometimes I refer to being an entrepreneur and being outside of the board of advisors environment where we go to the Ritz-Carlton, every quarter for 5 days, but then we go back out into the wild, right? It's super comforting to be in that environment because you have all of your buddies, you have all these people that are contributing to you, that are motivated to be valuable to you because of the culture, because of the brand, the leadership. Like it's a really good feeling. But when you get out in the wild and you're actually having to do the thing and live the thing, that's sometimes the scary part, right? That's especially the first time, some people just have the DNA to go do it and they don't have the fear. But at the end of the line, the more you do it, the more the fear goes away, the more it becomes your habitat, and the more comfortable you get with all the chaos,
Mhm.
all the craziness, all the failure, all the bullshit, basically. I mean, like being an entrepreneur and carrying the pressure and responsibility of being an entrepreneur is not an easy thing to do. But you see this scene where they're walking in the back alley in New York, take the guy out of the outback in Australia. Now he's got his gator boots on, his, cowboy hat, his maybe snakeskin jacket or something. It's a pretty cool scene. And he's walking with the news reporter that is a lady that I think they're starting to kind of, you know, have something for each other, right? So they're on like almost a date. They're kind of growing a little affinity. And this dude pops out from around the corner. I mean, they're in like a back alley walking home from going out. This guy jumps out from around the corner and he goes, "Hey man, you got a light?" And it scared it startles the girl. And you could just tell he didn't budge. He just like it's like, when you go up to your buddy and you sneak up behind him
Wow. Yeah.
and you try to scare the shit out of him and he's just like doesn't even move.
Yeah.
And then he pops out a knife. It's about this size. The guy
Wow.
asking for a
Wow.
light. And she freaks out. He looks at it and he goes, "Babe, that's not a knife." And he reaches back and he pulls this thing out that's about that long. And he goes, "Now that's a knife." Sometimes it's just getting out there and growing the size of your knife and your confidence and your experience to where all the little unexpected shit doesn't matter. And anything that seems like it's going to hurt you or kill you, you just realize it's really not that big a deal and you're going to get through it. But you got to go through it to be able to get to that point. And it's just hilarious when you see the contrast of those. Some have it from the get-go, but usually the contrast of the ones that have real experience and the ones that are just getting started,
Mm.
and how you have that kind of stability and that rock solid, that granite like confidence and foundation in the way that they operate and the way that they make their moves and the way that they actually become a stable pillar for others, right? Like um it's just a interesting thing to watch when you have all these different entrepreneurs at different phases of life, different phases of their business, different phases of their maturity, different phases of wealth, all in, you know, the salad together, and you've tossed the salad. But the ones that really stand out are the ones that are just like that pillar of confidence and the fair, firm, consistent mode of operation that just
Mm.
creates a gravity. It creates a gravity for all the little busy bees, right? They want to find somewhere to land, and they land on the
This is
confident
how I
rock.
take that for our listeners today as they follow along with us pollinating. Um, they're 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 called to action and to activate, and no matter where they go, they can pollinate. So, example, if I am listening to this and I decide I'm going to physically go to where the board is, in this case, it'd be boardadvisor.com. Physically, I'm going to go there because I want in the opening of Nietzsche's Zarathustra, he says, I've been collecting honey. I've got too much honey and I need hands outstretched to take it. So they're going to go and get that. Now they're going to go through the world though. They got, and you said some, people at a spectrum are better or worse. If it's like 0 to 100 on a spectrum of their ability to activate that genius. Right? So, but their responsibility in the world is to go and activate that genius when they leave that room to go do it. So for our listeners, wherever you are, walking, biking, just sitting in a room, in a dark room thinking, what are you doing today to activate lessons of, what wisdom that's flowing through all of us, all the guests that's generational, things we don't even know we know. How do you go activate it and pollinate so you can grow your knife? You got to practice. You need repetition. And so that's how I'm taking that, is that when you get information, you got to give information. And if you're in the room, there's great responsibility when you leave the room. Like you never really leave the room if you have it in your spirit and who you are as a person. Like, and we're all, at some level, we're trying to tap into that. Like I am. That's why my word. So I think it'd be good for the audience to know our word from last year and then our word coming up this year so that they can see our transformation. But my word was intensity last year because I had to burn myself in my own flame to rise anew. And now it's love, because love is actually to care deeply about the existence of another. Love is intensity externalized. The intensity was me burning myself. I didn't think this through after looking at the etymology and the definite, because this is all unconscious. My unconscious is screaming, as Kierkegaard said, become who you are. So intensity was last year, burn myself in my own flame. And now I'm rising anew in love. It's because I want to give that intensity out. I want to care deeply for another, to develop a bond, right? So anyway, my word was, I know that's a lot, but ultimately, and I'll acknowledge you. And of course, um, despite or in spite of being a advisor to the board of advisors, advisors to the founder board of advisors, and a helper, that context doesn't change the fact that I get to learn explicitly and implicitly from board of advisors, meaning I have benefited. So my story is an example of the benefit of board of advisors by being in the room and paying attention and giving energy. I was transformed. I'd be very clear about that. That is happening. I'm conscious of it. And anyway, my word was, that's how I'm taking that, is like we get in that room, we go out in the world, and I believe the Lollapalooza, there's a bunch of influences here, but a huge piece of it is how can I let this part of who I am out? And it's like, well, why not do it on New Year's Eve? Of course, it's going to be virtual. Having done 1,047 podcasts virtually, let's do a virtual, right? That's within the boundary. So that's how I take it, is everybody is collecting honey. If they're going to collect honey, they better give it out. And so my word was intensity last year. Going into 2025, it was intensity. And this year it's love. Mike, what your word was recalibrate, going into
Well,
2025, and
jubilee was the word, but I was trying to define recalibrate. Using the word recalibrate to help define the reason I chose the word. So, um,
close
yeah,
this out here because we got to go right into the next one. And I'm getting texts from everybody. Oh, let's go! It's game day.
I know. I'm wondering why people are texting me at 5:48 in the morning. They must know what is going on. Okay, so have you ever? had the thought, man, if I could do it all over again, I would fill in the blank. You ever had that
Yeah,
thought?
yeah,
Well, I think people have had the thought, and I think it's also a popular phrase, right? If you could go back to your younger self and give your younger self a bit of wisdom or advice, what would you tell yourself, right? It's a pretty common question people close out a podcast with, or they use in interviews. And I think a lot of times too, we have that reflection moment where we think, if I had to do this all over again, I would be so good at it because I know now, right? Like they have this thought.
absolutely.
Are you with me in the mindset?
Yes.
We've all been there. So for the listener, if I had to do it all over again, oh, I would do it like this. I would do it like that. I would know exactly what to do and I would win because I've got all this experience. I've I've gone through all the crap. Well, then why don't you? So if you know what to do differently in order to get the better result, then that should be your focus. So my word, and I wish you would give me two words because I think it takes strength in order to break a habit and to create a newer and better habit, especially when you're, you know, 40, 45, 50, 55, and you're getting up there and you've been in a routine, right, for so long. You've got to be strong, but you've got to be different. And I think all of us have that moment where we look back and we say, if I had to do it all over again, I would do it like this. I would do it like that. I would do it with this person versus that person, whatever. But you actually have that chance right now going forward. You
Oh my
can.
God.
So my word is different. It's not a fancy word, but you can be different. And if you gave me two words, it would be strong and be different because it takes strength in order
I'm writing
to
this
be
down.
different, even though you know. And I think it's the main reason people invest in being part of a board of advisors and becoming an advisor to the board is they want to help people do things better and differently so they get a better outcome, they get a better result, and there's more of a return and a reward. You know, it's the old cliche, you don't know what you don't know, right? Um, but for me, I would say the word is different. We know what to do. We just have to decide to do it.
Uh, you, you, your word is different.
I would like two words, be strong, be different, but the word is different
You
because
know,
you can't get a better result by doing the same old thing. How do you become a better leader? You've got to be different. How do you become a better partner? You've got to be different. And the reason it's not the word better is because you don't know what's better until you are different and you figure it out. So try something different. If you're the guy that talks the most in the meeting, try being the guy that doesn't talk the most in the meeting and just see what happens.
I'm so inspired. Thank you. If you're listening to this podcast, please leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast so that we can invest back into you with relationships and resources to give you reasons to succeed. So please leave us a review of the Culture Matters podcast and keep listening because the next episode will be yours truly, my co-host, Mike Calhoun, Andrew Berman, the one and only, who holds the record, I think, on the Culture Matters podcast. We're going to laugh about in about 10 minutes. Judd Burden and Gray Wilson. Go listen
You
to
want me
that
to share?
episode.
You want me to share something with you real quick before we end this one?
Please close us out, Mr. Calhoun.
Okay. So a billionaire, Ed Coble, emailed me last night at 10:53 p.m. right here. Can you read that?
It's blurry, but I follow.
It's what is it doing? It says, with God, anything is possible. Be strong,
Wow.
be different.
Wow. Amen. And we will see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast.